Hello everyone, how are you doing today? I'm back with another video, and in today's video I'm going to show you guys how to open it up and clean up your laptop. This one is an this one is an Eluktro Pro notebook model P957hr, and this laptop is being taken to a different service shop, and they have opened it up and they gave it back to the client, and the client, once they got it, it makes a really loud noise on the fans and it shuts down randomly. So they brought it in for us to take a look at it and see what we can do for it. So we're gonna open it up and we're gonna repaste and clean up the fan system and see what do we have down there. And I'm gonna show you step by step how to do this. All right, first thing first, we need few tools. I'm gonna be using alcohol, isopropylic alcohol or isopropylic alcohol, 90% plus. You need a flat screw tweezers, screwdriver set. I'll be using an UFIXTEK screwdriver set. You're going to be using a Phillips number 0. If you get the Pro set, you get an opening tools and tweezers, but if you don't get the Pro set, get the basic set. And for the opening tool, I'm going to be using a guitar pick. These are really suitable to opening cases and covers. And you will need a workshop towel, one sheet of the workshop towel. All these links will be in my video description if you need to purchase yours. You need a thermal paste. I'm going to be using Arctic MX4, or you can use an Arctic MX5. If you want to go overboard and go with a little bit crazy one, better one, go with the Thermal Grizzly Cryonut. Alright, with all this on hand, we're going to get it started. First thing first, you want to power off the laptop. You're going to remove the bottom cover. There's a whole bunch of screws all around, 2 in the middle and 3 hiding right at the back, right there, in the middle, right and there. Remove all the screws and put them in one pile. Also, if you want to support the channel, if you like my videos, if my videos are helping you guys out, you can support the channel by clicking that like and subscribe. I'll greatly appreciate it. It helps and motivates me to make more videos, take requests, and answer your questions in the comment area. And once we remove all the screws, now you need to double check, make sure you haven't missed any. You want to grab your opening tool, and you want to stick it between the bottom cover and the palm rest right there, and you want to twist it, and you want to see the bottom cover coming out. If you hear a little click, that's fine, that's what you want to hear. You want to do that all around, to the side, all the way back to the corner, to the left and right side. Once you did the left and right and front, the bottom cover should come out pretty easy. Take it outside and clean it up. There's a whole bunch of dust in here. You want to use a toothbrush, an old or new toothbrush, to clean up the vent system in here. Down here, we're going to see a whole bunch of the ventilation. One for the CPU, 2 fan for the GPU, and then battery right here. So first thing first, we're going to disconnect the battery. To remove the battery is really easy. All you need to do is to remove 2 screws, but no need to remove it. Just pull this cable back, this jack, and pull it up a little bit and pull it back, and the connector will come out loose, so it just slides in. Now we're going to remove the fan cable for the CPU. Just pull this jack out. There's 2 fan cable for the GPU. Pull this ones backward, just wiggle around, it will come out pretty easy. You want to remove the screws for the fan, 1, 2 on this one, and 1, 2, 3 on the other one. So go ahead and remove the screws for the fan. I see this fan is kind of slow, but it's still working. But this one, it just stays right on the spot, like just 1/2 turn and it stays right there. This one is kind of okay, but still we need to service them. They have ripped up the gaffer's tape in here, so I don't see any gaffer's tape going over. So pretty much we can lift up this fan, bring it out. And you can take it outside and clean it, but we're going to service them. So put that fan to one side. We're going to remove the heatsink by removing 3 screws on an X-clamp right here. They have messed up the screw bit here, so I'm going to put a little bigger one so maybe it can fit in there. I can rotate them out. It's very careful, like they have destroyed the screw bed right there, so I'm gonna replace this screw probably. And we're gonna lift up the heatsink, and holy crap, there we have it. They have replaced the thermal paste with a really trashy thermal paste. It's like a thermal grease, it's not thermal paste. So that's why you should know what kind of thermal paste you're putting in your laptop. Do not put this garbage in here. So we need to clean up this whole thing down there. So let's go ahead and remove the 4 screws for the GPU. That's why I always say watch out where you take your laptop. Don't take it to any repair shop. You have to make sure that they do a good job. Once you remove the 4 screws, we're gonna lift it up from here. We're gonna wiggle it around, and it should release itself. Oh boy, they have on a GPU thermal grease in here. Again, these are really garbage thermal paste in there. So we're gonna clean those up, but we do anything, we're gonna clean up the motherboard and all this old thermal grease on it. There's a difference between thermal paste and thermal grease, and this is a thermal grease. You don't put a thermal grease on a CPU or GPU. So clean that up. This client is lucky that the thermal grease didn't go under the GPU or under the CPU. Otherwise, it would be a contamination. Alright, once you clean it up nicely. Okay. The thermal pads, you do not need to replace them, but if you want, you can do it. I'm gonna show you guys how to remove the dust in here. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna grab another roll of the workshop towel in here. We're gonna bring this one here, and we're gonna remove the old thermal paste. I get really angry when I see people do a bad job on the client's laptop. This is not the way to do this stuff. So we're gonna clean once for all this one here. All right. Now we're gonna remove this fan from here. To remove it, on the other side there's a few tiny screws. These are like a Phillips 00. We're gonna go ahead and remove these screws on top here. Once we remove the screws, now we can actually flip it over. There should be a tape here. It's called gaffer's tape, or there's a plastic tape in here. You want to rip it apart and remove the fan. You can take this outside and clean it up with a toothbrush and blow some compressed air through here. These thermal pads are 0.5 millimeter thermal pads, and the ones in here, these are 0.4 millimeter thermal pads. But do not replace them because you're not going to overclock them. So leave them the way it is. Just clean it up nicely from inside out. And we're gonna first go ahead and do this one here. To remove the fan, so I see this fan is kind of making noise when I rotate. To remove them, you want to put your finger here and push the fins inside, and it should release the fan. Same thing on the other side. There we have it. Now we use a toothbrush to clean up this thing right here, the motor system, the whole thing. Also clean up the fans here. I can see it's just scraping towards the metal blade right there. I'm gonna take these ones outside and I'm gonna blow some dry air, compressed air, and I'll be back right after this. Did I clean up a little bit of this one here? We're gonna open up this other fan on the CPU. So we're gonna open up this CPU fan too. And we're gonna clean this one up too. It's really dirty. Alright, there we have it. We clean up all the fans in here. Now we're gonna do another trick in here. We're gonna clean up inside the magnets. You wanna grab a little bit of the workshop towel. You wanna soak it in here, and you wanna fold it, and you wanna stick it right in there, and you wanna clean up the magnet and the rod in the middle of the magnet. Just do a few passes gently, and you wanna see that extra dirt in there that's been sitting. All right. Now what you want to do, you want to grab a little bit of oil. This is a high precision oil. And you want to put a one tiny drop in the middle right there. There we have it. And then you want to put down the fan right over and squeeze it right in there. And do a few turns, pull back out, pull it back in so it lubricates it nicely. And then you can just grab this cover, bring it over. So let's see, do a little Tetris move here. Just like that. And put the tiny screws right over on this one. This is the CPU fan, and we're gonna go over the other fans. There we have one. So we're gonna grab this one in here, and we are gonna pull this fan a little bit of outside. I don't know if it's kind of twisted or no, but because it could be twisted, that's why it's hitting right over here. I see that tiny rubbing right there, so that means it's not leveled. So that means I just have to twist it a little backward, but before that we're gonna put a tiny drop right in here. Inside the middle. There we have it. And we're gonna put the fan, clean it up again. And make sure you put it straight over. And it goes in. Just make sure it's nice and level. It's not touching anywhere in there. There we have it. Same thing on the other fan. Just make sure you look from the side and make sure it's not touching the metal bracket in there from any other angle. And now what you want to do, you want to bring up the heatsink that you cleaned up, put it straight on top, and put the tiny screws that you removed from here. So start from one corner and go ahead and put the screws for the fan. Now what you want to do, you want to grab a thermal paste, you want to put out one big drop in the middle here. It's kind of nice and big, and put one tiny line on the CPU. Okay. Now what you want to do in here, to grab the heatsink, bring it down evenly, make sure the fans are nicely in place. Evenly bring it over the CPU and put it down. Once you put it down, do not lift it up again. Leave it there and put the 4 screws for the heatsink quickly. Always cross screw them, put one screw in there and the next one cross over the screw. There's a number 1, 2, 3, 4. You can go 3, 4, 2, 1 as long as you cross screw them. That's the idea. Now you want to grab the fans. They have a different jacks and it will not go in. You can mix them up. So it is one little flat one. That one is a little thicker one. So just push the jacks in place. Put a screw for the fan in here. There should be 3 on this side and 2 on the other side. And there we have it. Now we're gonna grab this heatsink right here. I don't replace the thermal pads because the thermal pads are really unnecessary thing to replace. We just need to know where this one goes. This one goes right over here. Okay, so we're gonna bring it over. You can put the fan right in here first, and then bring the heatsink over. Remove this cable and set it down evenly. Put the 3 screws for the heatsink. Now slide down the fan jack right in there. Put the 2 screws for the fan casing housing. And just do a little flicker with your fingers, make sure the fans are okay. And this is how you clean up and service the proper way your heatsink. Next is to slide down the battery. If you have disconnected, just put it evenly inside the jack, align it, and evenly push it toward the jack. I'm gonna push it right there. And snuggle back down the cable right in the corner. Alright, now with all this set, now you wanna grab the bottom cover. Bring the bottom cover evenly over. And you want to squeeze it down, you want to hear a little clicks, that's fine, that's what you want to hear. And the last thing down here is to put the bottom screws right in place. One goes right over here, all around. If you guys have any question or requests, feel free to leave them in a video comment. I'll try to answer them as soon as I can. As always, thanks for watching. If you want to support the channel, you can click that like and subscribe. I'll greatly appreciate it. I'm gonna power on the laptop and show you guys that it's working. So I don't know if there's any power left in this battery. Alright, I do get my electronics, Eluktronix. I don't know where these ones are coming from. Let me clean up the screen, it's kind of dirty. And it is booting up to the desktop. It's kind of slow, but yeah. And there you have it. And the fans are really quiet and it's not making any noise.